All right, so should the Walmart food shortages scare you? Well, if you're not scared yet, I don't know why this would push you over the edge, but no. And you know what I'm talking about, and you probably do, because it's in our local Walmart. I had Thy Staff, Thy Will up in Tennessee sent me a picture of it in his Walmart. It's been on zerohedge.com. I think it was on the Drudge Report. I don't remember that for sure though. Walmart, and I understand some local grocery chains are are posting notices that they're going to have outages or shortages of canned vegetables. I think we've seen green beans, corn, that kind of stuff. Not fresh vegetables, canned vegetables. This is all a little weird, and I don't quite get it yet. This was just for dramatic effect. You see, if it was due to the grand solar minimum, which is a thing, and I definitely think it's going to affect our lives drastically, you'd expect it to be fresh vegetables. Canned vegetables are processed. You would think they were from last year's or previous year's harvest. These are things that should be stockpiled from good years. They last for a long time. I don't understand why canned vegetables are what's running out, and fresh vegetables seem to be fine. They say that the shortages should be ended in August, late August. They're saying from July 2nd to August 9th, I believe, is what Mariah said it was. So you would think August 9th would start, not really be the end of the harvest yet. You would think if it was about, waiting for this current harvest, it would be starting sometime in September or October, when they had time to harvest the stuff, process it, get it canned, get it shipped. August doesn't sound right for it to be a harvest issue. That being said, wow, does this not illustrate a glaringly obvious point, which is that even here in America, in the wealthiest, most secure nation on earth, in the breadbasket of the world, a lot of our food does come from other places now, but still, Mariah looked up Green Giant today. They grow most of their food here in America, with some in Peru, I believe, was the other place. Was there somewhere else other than
the
Peru?
Netherlands
and Peru, but most of it was here in America. Here in America, the wealthiest nation on earth, the breadbasket of the world, we produce huge amounts of the grain crops that the world consumes, and we're having a food shortage. It may not be like starvation, famine, but something has interrupted the flow of food to the shelves at our local Walmart, where most of us go get our food. I'm nowhere near as secluded as I wish I was. This should give us pause. When I saw this today, some of the guys from the Atlanta Viking group were talking about it, texting back and forth. I realized I've let our food stockpiles go. The government, the institution in the world that most has to gain from an illusion of stability and omnipotence and continuity, tells you to have 6 weeks now. These are the people who can't afford for you to lose faith in them, and they tell you need to be prepared to last for 6 weeks. My thought has always been a year. I think Pastor Fox, said that in the past too. But at least one harvest. What's your, if you have a bad harvest, well, that's a year. If you have a bad harvest and a failed harvest, you've got to go a whole year back around to the next substantial harvest. So you need a whole year. Even if you're planning on growing all your food, and most of you have no idea what that entails. Not a criticism, I'm not being a jerk. I'm just telling you, you don't really understand what that entails. Especially if, God forbid, you were doing it without diesel. Whew. Anyway. Okay, so maybe this isn't the food crisis that we all think is coming. Maybe this is just there's some sort of logistical interruption somewhere. No one's given me a really good explanation though. I know at least one store had posted that it was due to bad harvest. I know for a fact one store had that posted. But whatever it is, it still illustrates the point that, despite, our trip to the moon that we're celebrating the 50th anniversary of, and our drones that we can launch from Colorado and shoot down planes over Iran or whatever, despite all this stuff, the basics are still, I don't want to say unreliable, but they're still uncertain. There can be some disruption between where that food's grown and where you buy that food, and you do need to be prepared. You need to panic. No, don't panic. This isn't prepper porn. This isn't, doom and gloom. I'm not saying, run for the hills, you're gonna die. I'm trying to figure out a way to insert the voice of the character Mort from King Julian in. King Julian! But I haven't figured out exactly yet. But I think he'd be that. This is where the fearmonger is going to be Mort at some point. I'm not sure. I got to figure out how I'm going to do the voice. But no, you don't have to be Chicken Little. The sky's not falling. But man, doesn't this just illustrate once again that we live in a fragile world. There are no guarantees. Things can go south. I hate that term because I live in the South. I love the South. Things can go bad. Things have gone bad. Things will go bad. They will. I'm sorry. There has been no magic change in the world to that means there's no like magical spell over America that says we're never going to experience these things other countries experience, or Western Europe is never going to experience these things that other countries experience. We've been very, very blessed in America. I don't think we've ever really had a famine. I know things got bad in the 30s during the Dust Bowl and everything, but I still don't think like there was a shortage of food. I think there was a shortage of money. Now, don't quote me on that. Someone's going to go look up, Wicca Depression and tell me what I got. But I don't think we've ever had like just a full-blown people are starving in the streets. Are you going to pay for your house, or are you going to pay for your food? I know, individuals have had that problem, but not nationwide. Have we not just had this, oh my God, we're going to starve to death, what are we eating? Except, I guess, in the very early years of the Pilgrims in Massachusetts and all that. There's so many caveats and addendums. My point is that in America, and really in the modern European cultures, we don't know what famine is anymore. It's been so long since we've experienced it that it's this cartoon thing off to here that it's not real to us. It's never going to happen to us. That happens to brown peoples and other places, but it doesn't happen to white people in America and Europe. But this demonstrates, I'm probably just pissed somebody off. I promise there was nothing racial underlying on that. That's some people's attitudes. My point being in all this, and what this Wal-Mart disruption is showing us that we had better pay attention to, is that yes, it can happen here. And we have been incredibly blessed that it hasn't happened so far. And as you hear people talk about the just-in-time shipping and ordering, or just-in-time inventory or whatever, and how dependent we are on trucks and all this stuff, and how the fuel supply. One of the early videos we did here was about a gas pipeline broke down in Alabama, and it threatened to wipe out all the gas for the southeast, like up to Virginia. All this gas was getting shipped from Texas through this pipeline, gasoline for vehicles, and it was getting run from, I guess, Texas or the Gulf somewhere, through Alabama up into Virginia and everything, and like the whole southeast almost got their gasoline from this pipeline. It developed a leak. They were digging out to fix the leak. Somebody hit the wrong thing and exploded, killed a guy, and the Atlantic coast, or the whatever they call it, was on the verge of being without gasoline. They weren't sure. I mean, it ended up being nothing, but it illustrated the same thing this Walmart thing illustrates. We live in a fragile society. We can't act like there's no threats. We don't have to be scared. We don't have to hide in bunkers, although it'd be nice to have a bunker to hide in just in case. But you don't have to live your life, But you should at least be paying attention and realize that there are no guarantees in your life. There are no guarantees in your life. And at some point, you have to take some sort of responsibility for what might happen. Like I said, you don't need to go buy 50 acres in the redoubt and stock it with 50 years worth of food and spend the rest of your life listening to the Weather Service radio to see if the Yellowstone supervolcano went. I don't think you want to be in the redoubt if that happens anyway, but at least be aware that you need to have some food stockpiled. Maybe not even stockpile. Let's not say stockpile. Let's say rotating pantry. We just visited a few weeks ago, maybe a month or so now, with a family just northwest of here. And by the way, if you're watching this, I lost your phone number. I can't call you. Text me. But he had what he called a rotating pantry. And you walk down into his basement where this rotating pantry was, and it looked like these guys were well stocked. But not like stocked, but like they had a full pantry. But he showed it to me, and he had a year's worth of stuff. And every week, when they would eat off the front row, and they would pull everything forward, go shopping, and fill back in the back row. And so they had a year's worth of food down there, at least a year's worth of food down there. He had dairy operation and chickens and eggs. This was a cool guy. I hope he sees this and texts me, because I need to get in touch with him. He gave us some fresh milk and butter churned from fresh milk, and I think like 15 dozen eggs, and it was crazy. Great guy to know. But my point is, you don't have to be a weirdo, bearded, AR-15 toting goofball to just recognize there's some fragility in our system. And even though this Walmart thing probably isn't the big one, I'm sorry, it's not the big one, and may not even be connected to the big one, it's still an object lesson in what can happen and at some point will happen. Those of us who try to live our lives by the Bible, we look at that thing and it tells us some serious stuff's going to happen. It might not happen to me, but it could happen to my children or my grandchildren or my great-grandchildren. It's going to happen somewhere down the line. Even if nothing ever happened in my lifetime, but I passed on to my children this lifestyle of just self-reliance and awareness and even preparedness. I don't like the term sometimes because I like what the term means to most of you. I don't like what the term has started to mean to some people. Some people it means gun shows and gear, which I love gun shows and gear, but that's not being prepared. That's a whole other thing. Anyway, there we go. I'm sorry, gentlemen. So the whole thing, should you be scared of these Walmart food shortages? You shouldn't be scared of anything, but you should be aware, and you should at least be concerned. But you should have been concerned before this. So if you're just now noticing this and going, oh, what does this mean? Well, it means, it illustrates a truth that has always been there. We've never been as secure as we thought we were. We were never completely shielded from all harm. There may have been some times, but we're talking about some spiritual issues here, and we're not going to get into this there with people's eyes glaze over and they quit paying attention. But those of us who believe in the spiritual world and whatnot, sometimes we would say there was times when there was a complete protection, but that time is gone, no more. But that notwithstanding, if you don't accept those spiritual realities, there's no magical protection over us here. There's nothing here that sets us apart from anywhere else, except our two oceans on either side. That's our big claim to fame. Yeah, we got some cool stuff, Grand Canyon, bison herds, all that. But ultimately, there's a lot of other places in the world that's got what we've got, and they don't have the lifestyle we have and the security we feel like we've had all this time. You don't have it. We've just gotten lucky for a while. So yes, this should make you concerned. You need a year's worth of food for every person in your family. You do. I don't have it yet. I think we were really close at one point, and then we had a really good year in the garden, and we're like, we don't need this anymore. And now we've had 2 iffy years in the garden, and you know what? We need to get our year's worth of food back up. We need to be able to get from harvest to harvest, in case something bad happens. And maybe you don't feel like you need a year's worth of food. Maybe you don't feel like you can store a year's worth of food. But the government says 6 weeks, and those brain dead bastards don't get anything right. So if the government says 6 weeks, you need to be thinking 6 months at least. There you go, man. We appreciate you. No, you don't need to be afraid. But yes, you do need to be concerned, and yes, you need to be aware. Thank you. We appreciate you.